Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Bottom right hand corner we have a return player in Wizard, starting as the yellow Zerg. Bottom left hand corner we have Meyara, starting as the brown Zerg. I'm not familiar with Meyara, and it's been a minute since I've seen Wizard play, so I cannot remember Wizard style play. Thank you, New Ocean, for the Prime subscribe, by the way, out on Twitch land. I'm still thinking, so I think if there's a subscriber goal, I need to figure out what the goal is, I guess. If there's a goal, I'll find a VTube model and we'll go VTubing. Do that for the hell of it, which I think could be rather entertaining. Anyway, back to the game. I think that would just be hilarious, honestly. And I have some ideas as far as how that would work, but it might be hard. I don't know. I don't know where to even begin finding that sort of thing. I feel like I'm the old crusty guy where it's like, I don't know, there's new technology, even though I'm like... sitting here, really, anyway, whatever. Upper right hand corner, Wizard going for the scout. Upper left hand corner for Meyara. So neither going to get an information advantage. On top of things, both players are opting to go for, it looks like, I think we might see double hatchery play on both ends, because I've not seen any movements to go for, and as I say that, pool gets dropped for Meyara. So it looks like Meyara actually going for the overpool. And it looks like it is going to be an additional hatchery here from Wizard. So on paper, Wizard going to have the economic lead. They say the player who puts down the pool down later has the advantage. Going out, going for a 12 pool, interesting. So I was expecting an additional hatchery, but instead going for so basically overpool versus 12 pool. And that is a significant lead to Wizard, because your tech comes out like ever so slightly later, but you end up with more drones overall and just a healthier economy overall. And basically you end up with mutalisks that are spawning in a really decent period of time to deal with your opponent's units. It looks like an Overlord scout moving out. We do have, and it looks like there is going to be also an expansion grab for Wizard. No expansion grab here from Meyara. We are going to see a pair of Zerglings being built. No information from either player. They still have not found each other's base. And once Overlord crosses Overlord, maybe, are they even going to see each other? They might actually be at an off angle. Maybe I will do it this way. Okay, let's do it this way. I think they might miss each other in actuality, but there's going to be plenty of Zerglings to defend this as well. And that's actually going to be the difference in the drone. Somehow Meyara up on supply, but again, the difference is still going to be massive just having this additional hatchery. Okay, now sees the edge of it. And so at least knows where his opponent is out in the field. Meyara holding the line with his initial Zerglings. We do have a tech delayer in the background for Meyara, and Zergling speed there for Wizard. Now the question is Wizard, so invested in Zergling speed, invested in the natural expansion rather than the layer, which means he does need to get a Zergling flood, or he's going to have to make his way back towards evolution chamber to make this work. Right now he's mostly in the dark. A single Zergling has managed to make its way across. There's 8 Zerglings there in the field. And it looks like the Zerglings spotting and seeing that they are in fact committing across the rest of this field. Some drones actually pulling off to hold the line, and this layer is coming out much later. When we got an interior base hatch to equalize the unit coverage. Drones actually pulling, so this is some lost mining time of gas in a drone as well. Natural expansion holds. I don't know that that was necessary. So Meyara, I'm going to give the advantage to Meyara right now, because we have the layer only halfway finished on one end. The spire is already completing. On the opposite end, I see Wizard is going to have an opportunity to go for a drone surge and to just pump, do a little bit of an economic pump. It looks like he's missing, oh man, supply blocked himself right this second. And it's supply block without any, so at least has the information that there's no natural expansion, which should be a big red flag that, okay, hey, you need to get evolution chamber down to stay in this, or you need to go for a Zergling flood of your own. Looks like the additional Overlord finally finished. Layer is up, but the mutalisks are going to be out shortly, so the spire halfway finished. Creep colony, and I presume this is going to be a defensive creep colony. Yeah, just to deal with Zerglings should they attempt to run by. And we do have, yeah, we have a lot of the drones, but no evolution chamber to see. We'll see if I presume Wizard's going to spot it. Is that it? Yeah, there's the evo chamber. So it's going to turn into 2-base play. We'll see if that's in time. I'm a little concerned that might be a hair too late. I don't know the timings of all these things as well as I should, but we'll have to see. In the meantime, Wizard is going to have that long economic lead. The Overlord is just going to get sacrificed as it goes into the main to kind of spot things. This is going to be an easy, I think 5 Mutalisks shortly. at least 4 along the initial, and there's the creep colony. The Overlord sees the creep colony getting built. There's another creep colony along that edge. We do have an additional creep colony that's already been built in the main. So it looks like the timing of this, so yeah, should be fine as far as timing goes. The spore colonies, I think, can trigger as soon as the Mutalisks spawn right here. They need to start morphing immediately, though. So we got this edge, which might have been vulnerable. These Zerglings are going to have to pull back from Wizard as soon as those Mutalisks are done with this Overlord. Overlord down. So right now, Meyara, with at least a degree of map control, is going to end up a little bit later on economy, and this, now we're going to turn into the dark arts of ZVZ, of macro versus macro. 4 drones expended, but Wizard can expend that, getting his own Spire up. Is going to be sitting on a sizable economic, actually dropping some additional. Is this going to be another Spore? Is this going to be I think, yeah, nice drone kill, honestly, with the 4. A little bit surprised by that. Zergling's still sitting at the natural. I'm surprised that Meyara didn't clear that on the way down and go ahead and grab that. Instead, it looks like producing a lot of Zerglings and wants to go for a Zergling. So the Zergling's just hovering, just hiding next to the evolution chamber to try to keep themselves alive. Wizard, a really good sense of this. So getting that Sunken Colony along that edge to help repel those forces, and recognized with the lack of natural expansion on the follow-up that Meyara was going for effectively an all-in. So very good information reveal that it was going to be a Zergling attack to try to wipe out the Spore colonies. So as long as the Sunken Colony's there and there's a decent SimCity, which there is, the Zergling should be dispatched fairly easily. And Meyara, even though he's got a massive supply lead and massive army lead, I do believe the Sunken Colonies and the SimCity are going to be sufficient to clear out the difference. A single Zergling running out in the field. And Meyara, like, honestly, the longer this goes, the less it's... Because the longer this goes, the more time you're giving your opponent to get that Spire, especially when you're lacking that natural expansion. But now he's pulling the trigger, starting to make his way out. The Zergling's spreading back out. We're going to have double Sunken Colonies here on the corner. 8 worker lead, by the way, for Wizard, but he is down a significant amount of supply in Zerglings and Mutalisks. But here comes the dive. This is Meyara's chance. Spore colonies getting focused by the Zerglings, the drones defending themselves briefly, and Meyara now backing out after taking some pretty significant losses right there. Trying to pick off some Zerglings that were exposed. Might even get an Overlord here. Okay, the Overlord gonna hover back. But now we have the Mutalisk force starting to build up for Wizard. Wizard might even want to drop a 3rd hatchery in the midst of this so he has enough larvae to work with. It is an 8 Mutalisk lead right this second, however. Armor on the way. Do we have armor already upgrade? No, we don't have armor already upgrading. So at least as far as the long haul, that might be the win condition. Also, with 2 additional Mutalisks, it's possible that these Spore colonies are diveable if Wizard doesn't get a sufficient Mutalisk attack force up in time. And so I think once you see these 3 Mutalisks join, yeah, we're getting a pretty large complement here. We might see an attack on the natural expansion regardless. 2 Zerglings making their way out. See the Zerglings still in the field. They're getting drawn away. But now the Spore is somewhat exposed, and I don't think Wizard has a large enough... Overlord's going to get picked off as well, and I don't think... oh, maybe not. Mutalisk got wiped out. So Wizard's supply blocked right this second. Has a few Mutalisks out in the air, but not really able to get some damage on the Spore like he was looking for. 100 damage right there, and I think that was from earlier. Able to pick up a few drones. This is starting to equalize the drone count a little bit. The Zergling's creating some havoc in the meantime. And Wizard holding back his own Mutalisks in the midst of this. So we got, it looks like 7 remaining versus 5 out in the field. 3rd hatchery now being planted. But Meyara at least able to even up the drone count, and he's still got air control. But as far as latent base defense comparatively, this is some nice defenses for Wizard, where you can neglect an attack here at his main or his natural expansion for a bit of time, and move his Zerglings out on the map potentially, where Meyara, basically, if he's ending up assaulted on his base, if it starts moving to that, it's not going to be great. And also you have that +1 armor, which is going to kick up online a lot earlier. More Mutalisks here, but it's in enemy territory. Wizard does need to, yeah, at least try to patrol this area so those drones stop getting wiped out. Meyara actually with the drone advantage right this second, and a supply advantage in the midst of this, but that 3rd hatchery not that far from being completed. At this stage, Wizard has an immense amount of gas, but because he's lost so many minerals, so many drones on the mineral line, he doesn't quite have the resources to spend it. or I should say he's got the larva, he's got the gas, he doesn't have the minerals because of the lack of drones to really capitalize on that second gas. Meyara in the meantime has managed to get his second gas up. A good amount of Zerglings hanging out here. 3 drone lead, but +1 armor is finished, and I believe that air army has basically equalized. And this is okay, we got a third hatch in here for Meyara, so it's 3 hatches versus 3. About an equal air force, and +1 armor for a bit for Wizard. Let's see if Wizard is going to be able to exploit that time. He's making his way in. He's got a lot of Scourge alongside, and keep in mind, there's no spore colonies here. So it's just going to be straight versus straight fight here. Moving in, a lot of those Scourge, in fact, landing. Oh man, those Scourge absolutely landing, and I think that might be the difference here. Never mind, Wizard back, despite, okay, now +2 armor finishing, but a lot of those Mutalisks were in fact wiped out. I actually think Wizard could have stayed and fought that out and continually reinforced and might have won in the midst of that. But instead opting to go ahead and draw back, feeling a little bit fragile, not confident with the Mutalisks that were spawning right on top of him. But now +1 armor finish for Meyara as well. Zerglings wiped out. Wizard, especially after having the natural expansion up for a considerable amount of time in that sizable drone lead, I might have given him the lead at earlier stages. But at this stage, Meyara is starting to look like he's got just a dominant air force, and he's got a very, very healthy drone count. Third base attempting to go up, but the Zergling in fact going to spot it. And the opportunities, honestly, for Wizard to take this are starting to decline. It looks like Mutalisks is going to wander up there to go ahead and take care of that Zergling. We have another drone for Meyara going to move out, go ahead and grab his third. So Wizard going to go ahead and try to grab that 3 o'clock place. Also, +1 weapons started earlier for Meyara, so Meyara right now with the drone lead. He's got a slight supply lead, although that should indicate that his army is actually slightly smaller. He's going to end up with this third base somewhat later. The one advantage for Wizard is just having the latent defenses out in the field, but we'll see how long that lasts, because I believe we have over a control group. Yeah, we have over a control group of Mutalisks and Scourge for Meyara, although might have to cancel this hatchery top left, which would hurt because we got Zerglings up here. So let's see if this triggers something one direction or another. Oh, Mutalisks making their way across from Wizard. I like this play from Wizard, actually. Pin the Mutalisk down. Big fight both directions, but again, I think Meyara just might have way too many Mutalisks comparatively. We'll have to see how the focus fire goes and the glaive bouncing, and this is also close to reinforcement location for the Scourge. And Wizard looks like he's going to come out ahead with a much larger air force because of the closer reinforcement point and a bit of better focus fire. The Zerglings now joining the fray, but okay, one of them making it into the main. Also going to be able to surround that 3 o'clock base to force a cancellation. But we have Overlords that are vulnerable. We have the main base, which is vulnerable. We just have some Scourge. Let's see if Wizard can micro his way to a victory right here. He's got a sizable enough air force, actually just eating the Scourge shots, bringing up Scourge of his own, diving on that natural expansion. He's going to trying to wipe out the drones on gas. Looks like he's going to be successful in doing so. And now the lack of defenses are going to be punishing. Not sure why he's deciding to focus that sunken colony. Maybe distract a little bit elsewise. Looks like some Zerglings managed to slip by. They're working on the spore colonies. One spore down. The additional spores working on additional Zerglings starting to make their way in, but the drone count is just absolutely plummeting for Meyara in the background, and he's just taking shots as he's pushing his way in. And now, as all things balance out, we got an 8-worker lead and a Spire that's going to die before +1. Well, maybe he's going to die. Should die before +1 weapons finish. And now without any sort of air that's buildable, Wizard can just keep filling in that air fleet, redistribute his drones, and that should be a win for him. Bunch of creep colonies getting dropped, a second Spire getting dropped to the natural, but this is... I don't believe this is going to be sufficient. This can just be drawn right back to the main. Wizard with absolute air dominance. I'm actually shocked Meyara has not GG'd right at this second, maybe waiting for the additional Mutalisks to make their way in before giving the official count here. Additional drones wiped out. This is going to be 3 hatcheries, an evolution chamber, and a spawning pool potentially. More Zerglings flooding their way across, but plenty of defensive Zerglings, and I presume once they get to that natural expansion, that will be the official GG call. Wizard could go out and grab a third base if he wants, but honestly he has enough units where he can just kind of punish the rest of this. The Zergling's now arriving, trying to, yeah, noticing he just doesn't have enough. Gonna GG right there. Game 1 goes to Wizard in a very back and forth match. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.